to the Just Me Reka show, the YouTube version. This is episode 101, and it's all about relationships. That's right, I do a radio show here in Washington State, and part of my show is about giving advice, especially to my girls, because I know you always have questions, and I will do my best to give the best advice I can. But that advice always comes with an asterisk, okay? Because, hey, if I mess up your life, whoopsie. All right, let's start with question number 1. And she actually is going to stay anonymous. I'm not going to say her name, but she says, Reka, speaking of advice and men, I got a question for you. If a man's excuse is he can't message you when he has his kids, but can comment on Facebook, I have every right to be mad. Yes, yes, and yes. If his excuse is he cannot text you or call you because he has his kids and he's commenting on Facebook, because, you know, people forget that we can see that you are commenting and you are active on Facebook and down to the time. Facebook is meant for stalkers, and it does a good job at letting people stalk you. So if his excuse is, oh, I can't contact you because I have my kids, yet he's active on any social media, then yeah, that's a load of bullshit. And it's time to drop him. So her next question is, he moved to Spokane. She lives here in the Tri-Cities, which literally, I think it's like a 2-hour drive, maybe even less than that, to get to Spokane. And she says that he moved there, and since she has even been talking to him when he lived here in the Tri-Cities and now lives in Spokane, that she's done all of the driving. And she goes, it's been bugging her. So she wanted to ask me, because I'm in a long distance relationship, a lot longer than hers. He lives in Atlanta. I live here in Washington State. So we're literally like 2,454 miles away from each other, but who's counting? So she asked me, who does all of the traveling? Do you guys split it, or do you do all the traveling? Is it wrong of me to be upset that I have to do all the traveling? So if she wants to see him, she literally has to go to Spokane. So what I told her was, well, I do most of the traveling. I get on a plane and I fly to Atlanta to go see him, because where I live, it's kind of boring. So I don't want him to come here. I really don't. So I don't mind doing all of the traveling, going to Atlanta, because Atlanta is a little bit more fun than where I live here in Washington State. I actually live 3 hours out of Seattle. So it's called the Tri-Cities. It's Eastern Washington. It's 3 hours outside of Seattle. So not a big city. I'm used to living in a big city. I don't right now. I live here doing radio. That's another story for another YouTube video. But right now we're trying to answer her question. So no, I think that she is not incorrect to be upset. She should be upset, because that means that she is not a priority to him, and it shows in him making an excuse like, oh my God, I have my kids, so I can't text you, or I can't talk to you, I can't comment, blah, blah, blah. That's a lot of bullshit, because when you are a priority to somebody, you could have 7 things on your list, but you will go to at least number 2, you know what I mean? And he will call you, he will come see you, especially if literally he lives in Spokane. I promise you, I don't even think that's maybe it's an hour. I can't tell you the last time I drove to Spokane. So yeah, so I do most of the traveling in my relationship, but I do believe that relationship should be 100-100. So if he wants to see you, sometimes he needs to hop his little butt in his Toyota Corolla or whatever Datsun, whatever car he has, and drive up here to the Tri-Cities. And sometimes you can go down there. She said that he's a coach, so maybe she can go to some of his games. And also, you gotta split it, you know. My boyfriend, I've been with him, wow, it'll be 2 years coming up here in June. And he has come up here as well, especially when it's something important to me. Like every April, we do a clothing drive for my grandmother's school. There's a school out here named after my grandmother. He comes for that, comes for the golf tournament. In February, he literally surprised me and just popped up because we threw my dad a surprise party, and he also retired on the same day. So my mom and I, we planned this big shindig shebang. And I wanted him to come, and he made up an excuse like he couldn't afford it or something or whatever, and I believed him. But guess what? It was a lie, because he popped up. And when I landed in Seattle, my flight from here to Seattle, by the way, 30 minutes. When I landed in Seattle, he was there at the airport. So I do believe that a relationship is 100-100. You both have to be putting in that time to spend together. You can never feel like, oh my God, I'm the only one reaching. I'm the only one trying to pull you close to me. You guys got to be pulling each other close. So that's what I told her. I said, you're not a priority in this guy's life. The excuse of not being able to contact you or talk to you while I have my kids, and the excuse of I'm not driving an hour, 2 hours to come see you. When it's real, he will be wanting to come see you, and probably wouldn't even want you to drive most of the time. He'd probably come see you. So that is my advice for today. If you need some advice, drop it in the comment section. If you want to be a little bit more discreet, you want to stay anonymous, you can PM me on Facebook. I'll put the link right here. I also have an Instagram, I have a Twitter, and a Snapchat. Everything is just me, Reka. That's REKA.